home sweet home, as all of us like to think here in the Steel City.
Max, the season opener's always special, but there is nothing quite like the first game of the year here at Acrisure Stadium. Darnold under center here, play action pass. Back, Steelers bringing pressure. Darnold throws as a man wide open, touchdown, and Seattle has taken the early lead. 48-yard attempt, and as you would expect, Boswell drills it right down the middle. Darnold back to pass, looking, has all kinds of time. Picked off by Jalen Ramsey. Steps in front of Cooper Kupp at the 45-yard line of the Steelers and has turned it over for the black and gold.
First interception in the black and gold uniform, Jalen Ramsey.
Looks like another 48-yard attempt for Boswell's hit one from this distance. This kick is up, and this kick is right down the middle for the special teams player of the week. 4th and 1, Darnold under center. Darnold, play action pass, rolling off the back foot. It's knocked away and it's intercepted. Picked off. It's Herbig rumbling down the field, crosses the 40, is stiff arm inside Seattle territory and all the way down to the 21-yard line. Aaron Rodgers in the shotgun, 1:15 and counting as he gets a snap. Back to pass, looking at a loft to the right, up, jump ball, brought in by DK Metcalf. Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers.
First touchdown for DK in the black and gold, and no bigger moment to help Aaron Rodgers tie Brett Favre for the touchdown record.
.347 and counting. And a fake the pitch. No, he's going to pitch it to Walker. Walker has all kinds of room, and Walker gets into the end zone. Just a simple sweep to the left, and Walker finds a gaping hole and dances into the end zone.
That's a backbreaker right there.
And that is the ball game. The end of the game, the final score, Seattle 31, the Steelers 17.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. After picking up a win on the road in Week 1, the Steelers were hoping to do the same in their home opener. Aaron Rodgers tied Brett Favre for the 4th most passing touchdowns in NFL history. DK Metcalf hauled in his first TD as a member of the Black and Gold, and Jalen Ramsey recorded his first interception as a Steeler. Despite those positives, the outcome of the game leaves Pittsburgh sitting at 1-1. For more, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's standing by with Coach Tomlin. Bob.
Hey, Missy, thanks very much. Steelers coming off a home opening loss. Not the outcome they were looking for, 31-17, and what was a tightly contested game until the very end. And head coach Mike Tomlin is here talking about that. Had the feel. We talked last week about Mike McDonald, all those years in Baltimore system. Early on, it had a feel of a Ravens-Steelers game.
Yeah, schematically, he does some things very similar to what the Ravens do. And so we had that familiarity, but so did he. And so it kind of played out that way, certainly.
This was a game of big plays. And the first one I want to bring up to you was a 4th and 1. They decided to go for it, and Cam Hayward makes a nice deflection right in the hands of Herbig. He turned that into a touchdown. That was a key play at that point of the game because it seems like both offenses were kind of struggling along.
Yeah, it really got us going. We were able to put the offense on the short field. They were able to punch it in and get a 2-point conversion. And so that's how you want the units to work and to complement one another.
Touchdown pass was to DK Metcalf. You had to feel good about that. And the jump ball situation. I would imagine that's a big part of what you guys want to do in the red zone, not just with him, with others.
Yeah, we've got a lot of guys that are matchup issues, if you will. DK's a big guy for his position and difficult to match up with, as you saw in the 2-point conversion. Darnell Washington is a matchup problem, and we like Jonnu in a lot of circumstances that are matchup related as well.
Another big part of this game was a really great play by Jaylen Warren, who took a pass from Aaron Rodgers. He had flushed out of the pocket on the run, and he made 4 guys miss down to the 5-yard line. But what happened after that turned the game the other way because it looked like you were about to score and take the lead.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of tight red zone football, and that's why we spend so much time in that space offensively and defensively. Those plays are often the difference in football games, and certainly we're always looking for the 4-point swing. with both units. When we're down there defensively, we want to make people settle for field goals, and offensively, we want to score touchdowns. When we turned that ball over down there, it was a 7-point swing or so with a potential for more, and so certainly it was a big play and sequence in the game.
What happened with that interception specifically?
You know, we need to be better in terms of our scramble rules. We ended up with 2 players in the same space, and it created a tip drill. Actually, we tipped it to them. Again, that's why we work so much in that space, because as plays get extended, there's not a lot of space to move around in terms of your scramble rules, and so we spent a lot of time in that, but obviously it didn't look like it on that particular play.
One thing we saw about that play was that Aaron Rodgers, who's very good at going to players, communicating, and then afterwards he spoke in a coach-like way about, hey, this happens, it's week 2, we got to, work with these guys. Calvin's a great guy, just made a mistake. How important is that to have, from a coach's point of view, to have your quarterback be like that?
Just communication on all levels is significant, whether it's coach to coach, coach to player, player to coach, or player to player. The ability to absorb information, to talk about challenges that present itself in game, to have quick conversations is a big component, particularly at the early stages of the year, of doing the in-game things that you need to do to adjust and win.
Another big play, and this was one I thought you guys were going to capitalize on, was 3rd and 9, and you do what you have to do. You have down and distance in your favor, and Patrick Queen comes up and has Sam Darnold dead to rights, it looks like, and he spun away from that and turned what would have been maybe a 4th down and a game-changing play the other way for them.
Yeah, some of those plays come down to that, particularly when you deal with quarterback mobility. We've got quarterback mobility this week. It seems like week in and week out in today's game, the quarterback's ability to extend and the mobility associated with that are some challenges for defenses.
Let's talk about your defense specifically. You've talked about run defense and getting better. It was better technically this week than last. What has to happen to continue that pace?
It certainly was better. We absorbed some attrition in game, and we didn't do enough to adjust, and I think we wore down some. Our linebackers both got banged up at different points in the game, and we weren't able to finish as strongly as we would have liked in that space. I think they probably had, 50 yards or so on that last significant scoring drive that they had. But until that point, it had been a really significant run day for them.
You also addressed this after the game. Last week, special teams made a difference. This week, it made a difference as well. What happened on the Caleb Johnson situation?
Just poor judgment. A young guy not being in tune with the NFL playing rules. The stage was a little big for him. It was obvious just watching it unfold. And so it's a painful learning lesson for him, but not only for him, hopefully for all our young guys. We got a lot of young guys participating and contributing in a lot of ways. There's some dramatic differences between the pro game and the college game. There's some subtle differences. And they got to work their tails off, man, to continually educate themselves so that they can make correct decisions at real speed. Certainly, if you sit Caleb in a classroom and ask him about the differences between the 2 games, he can articulate that. But the key is to get enough physical repetition where you can do it like breathing and executing under duress at full speed.
I gave him credit. He answered every question afterwards. He stood up and faced the music. You talk about teaching moments. Is that one of those that it's a painful one, but it's a good one?
I prefer not to have those type of teachable moments, but everything is a teachable moment. We're 2 games into this thing. We got a lot of ball in front of us. We better learn when we're successful, and obviously we better learn when we're not successful. But the bottom line is, win or lose, whether we're talking about as a collective or as individuals within the collective, this journey that is the season is a big learning process. And so we got to cover a lot of ground in those spaces, particularly early on.
All right, Coach, coming up, we're going to talk about the next opponent, which is New England. Mike Vrabel takes over that team, coming off a big win in Miami. We'll get into the specifics about what New England has done coming up when we continue. Missy, back over to you.
All right, Bob, and this will mark the Steelers' first time heading back to Gillette Stadium since the 2019 season opener. Coming up later on the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show, Merrill Hodge draws up how Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers offense can combat the Patriots' high-powered defensive front. We'll be back right after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Well, Mike Vrabel picked up his first win as New England's new head coach, but it was on the road in Miami. For more on how the Steelers can stop him from getting his first victory in Foxboro, let's send it back to Bob and Coach for more on this matchup. Guys.
Thanks, Missy, very much. New England is next up. It's a team that's coming off a win against Miami. They lost the opener, so like the Steelers there, 1 win, 1 loss. And Mike Vrabel returns to New England in a different capacity. He has tendencies that I'm sure you know about. In the 2 games you've watched so far, have you kind of looked at that team and said, Mike Vrabel's coaching it, because you can see that?
Certainly, in all 3 phases, but they also have a personality in phases separately that we're very familiar with. Josh McDaniels is their offensive coordinator. We've competed against Josh a lot over the years, most recently in 2023 when he was a head coach and play caller in Vegas. And so, but that's the story in this league. Oftentimes, the locations change, but some of the significant people do not. And there's some carryover, obviously, from a prep standpoint and knowing what their values are, what their tape looks like, or what they work to make their tape look like. And I'm sure they say the same thing about us.
Okay, you have a quarterback you haven't seen before, 3rd overall pick, Drake May. I think coming off his best performance last week, I think it was 19 for 23, rushed for a touchdown, threw for 2. Looking at his tape from maybe last year to this year, what differences have you seen?
You know, I've just looked at his tape. I don't know that I've necessarily looked at it from a different perspective. I respect his mobility. He's got some hardcore relationships with some eligibles that he's worked to develop at receiver 9. Butte, man, him and Butte really warmed up over the last part of last year in terms of their ability to connect. I think you really feel that over the first 2 weeks watching them connect. He throws him the ball on time. He back shoulders him or throws him open. I think the same thing can be said about Henry at tight end. Is a target that he is very comfortable with, and you can just tell by the nature and how often they connect, how solidified that relationship has been.
You have another guy in Ramondre Stevenson who's been around. He had a really good year a couple of years ago, all-purpose kind of guy. Mm-hmm. I think last week he was more effective in the pass game, so that's kind of a multi-dimensional player too.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention their quality rookie in Henderson to go along with him and Gibson. They have a deep and talented backfield. They all bring a little something different. Stevenson has great patience and is capable of hitting it downhill, certainly. Henderson, man, is a perimeter guy at times. At least he was at Ohio State, and I've seen some signs of that. They like to get him the ball in space. His top-end speed is really impressive. They throw him a lot of screens, and so the backfield as a collective, they utilize all 3, and all 3 are very talented.
Another guy they brought over this year and gave him a big deal was Stephon Diggs. He's a guy that you're very familiar about. He's been involved, but not maybe as involved as he will be in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to do nothing but pick up as we get into the season. You have to remember that he's coming off of a significant knee injury from last year, and I'm still, I think he's about 11 months post-op or so on that, so I'm still sure that he's getting himself back up to speed.
They also have a defense that can come after you. I think they lead the league in sacks after 2 games. Bob Spillane's part of that defense. They brought him over. But talk about guys like Williams and those guys that can get it done.
I think that's a real good place to start. You mentioned their sack tally. They've invested a lot in their front, particularly this offseason. They went and got Williams as an interior guy from the Philadelphia Eagles. They picked up Landry from Tennessee, obviously, who Coach Mike has a relationship with and drafted out of Boston College. Those 2 guys are really catalysts along with Barrymore up front. As you mentioned, they got a new defensive quarterback, one that we're familiar with, in Robert Spillane. Spillane is a good blitzer, a good tactical player, play pass and so forth. And so they got a lot of pieces, particularly new pieces, up front to assist them in that endeavor.
We saw something last week I don't think you see very often. That is a punt return followed by a kickoff return. And it was the play of the game really for New England. Antonio Gibson put 90 yards after they did that. Early in the season, we've seen special teams be more involved, I think, in games than we have in the past.
Yeah, and I think particularly with the kickoff and kickoff return game, because we're all still adapting to the play, and particularly a lot of new players. You know, we've got 2 rookies on our kickoff team, and Carson and Jack Sawyer. The concept is new to them. It's really new to all of us, and particularly in year 2, you'll see a pickup in some schematics from a lot of coordinators, I would imagine, and that could reflect itself in big plays for both sides, for coverage units and return units.
All right, thanks, Coach. When we come back, we'll talk about the keys to this game. 1 o'clock kickoff in Foxboro. It's the Steelers and the Patriots. Missy, back over to you.
All right, sounds good, Bob, and this will mark the Steelers' final game in the States before they head over to Dublin for Week 4. But don't worry, Merrill Hodge is focused on this week and has a new playbook about why he thinks the Patriots defense won't be able to disguise everything from Aaron Rodgers. The Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Show off your black and gold knowledge with Immaculate Prediction, the Steelers' predictive game that gives you a chance to win some great prizes. This week's first place prize is a Jalen Ramsey autographed football. And here's one of the Week 3 questions. Will Jalen Ramsey record an interception in Foxboro? Yes or no? Head to the Steelers mobile app now to compete against all of Steelers Nation, and good luck. The Patriots lead the NFL with 9 sacks through 2 weeks after finishing dead last in the league in 2024. Some key free agent additions are helping to lead the charge, and in this week's playbook, Merrill Hodge explains how Aaron Rodgers' veteran experience can help his young offensive line.
Hi everyone, welcome into the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the playbook. All right, Week 3, the New England Patriots, they're new coaches, new system, but Mike Vrabel's not new to the league. Mike Vrabel is actually a very interesting coach, and I like to watch him from a defensive perspective. There's one thing they do from a defensive perspective is they like to bring pressure without a lot of people. And I'm going to show you a great play in what they do here. And they do 2 things. They'll win with their pressure, only bringing, say, 4 guys, but they do a great job of taking away the quick pass. So look at this play, for example. This is a great example of how the Steelers offense has to be really buttoned up. The offensive line, receivers, and your quarterback. Oftentimes people think it's just the quarterback, and that's not true. Everybody has to be on the same page and see the same thing. So you snap the ball. First thing to notice is they only bring 4 guys. Okay, now this is considered a blitz because you bring somebody from the second level, but there's only 4 people coming. So they got plenty of people to handle the people they're bringing. But first thing to notice, where the quarterback is looking, those routes are taken away quickly. And that's what they do a very good job of. They will not let you get rid of the football quickly. They'll give you a pressure look, but then they take away the quick throw. And then the second level to this is they do a great job of pushing the pocket. So when the quarterback does get reset, as we look at the pocket, they've done such a good job of pushing the pocket back, with just 4 guys, by the way, that your quarterback now is in somewhat of a panic mode because they gave him a pressure look. They brought what looks like a pressure, but there's really only 4 guys. They took away the quick pass to the right, and now they're forcing him to work through his progression. Now they got pressure in his face. And that's what happens when you don't have a guy that's really experienced, which obviously we have that. So Aaron Rodgers ain't going to panic like this. But having to see it is a critical component in handling the Patriots. Not letting the pocket collapse like that, and then they're forcing a bad mistake. That'll be the one area, especially on 3rd down, that the Steelers have to handle if they're going to be successful. And you can see from the end zone here, I mean, the pressure in the pocket and how they win. That's just 4 guys. So by numbers, this is not a pressure. By the look, it's a pressure. But they win the battle in the trenches, and that's where the Steelers have to really be successful with these pressures, that they win there. They don't let the pocket collapse, because obviously we have a quarterback that has a lot of experience and can hurt you if you pick up the pressure.
And you can check out some more exclusive content on the team's official YouTube page. Well, not only is Pittsburgh looking to get back in the win column, they're also long overdue for a win in New England. The Steelers have lost their last 4 games in Foxboro, so now it's time for the keys to the game presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Let's check in one final time with Bob and Coach. Guys.
Hey, Missy, thanks very much. Coach is here. Let's talk about a key, which would be their rookie left tackle, who is a top 5 pick out of LSU against, I presume, Nick Herbig over there. How big would that matchup be?
Certainly it'll be big, but really it's how often it's big and under what circumstance is it. And certainly, given our recent track record, man, we got to do a good job of stopping the run. If we do so, we'll increase those opportunities. And certainly 3rd and 12 or so is better defensively than 3rd and 4. And so that's certainly going to be a significant matchup. The things that lead up to those scenarios oftentimes dictates who has the advantage.
Another thing we noticed, you guys have been pretty clean when it comes to penalties so far. New England, they may lead the league. They had 12 last week. How do you, as a head coach, try to enhance clean football from your team? You bring in officials, that's part of it. What else do you do?
I think that's the most significant component of it. We've had three regular season practices thus far, 3 leading up to the opener and 3 leading up to our last game. And we had officials, full officiating crews at all 6 of those practices, because I know how important it is to play clean football early and to give yourself an opportunity to stay on schedule offensively and to not assist people in moving the ball defensively. And so thankfully that's been an asset to us. It needs to continue to be.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it, and good luck in Foxboro.
You know,
it's the Steelers and the Patriots coming up. 1 o'clock on Sunday, we'll kick off our pregame show at 11:30 a.m., followed by 2 hours of postgame. Steelers go there looking to get to 2 wins, 1 loss against New England and Mike Vrabel. That's going to wrap it up for our show. Thanks to head coach Mike Tomlin, Missy Matthews. I'm Bob Pompeani. We'll see you next week for another edition of the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.